stars hide your fire. Let not see light my black and deep desire.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the newest edition of Into the Rabbit Hole with Ronaldo. Today I would like to introduce you to this magnificent, fucktarded specimen we at the Psychic Vampires podcast have found recently that goes by the name of David Shurter. For the remainder of this video, I will call him David Sharter because even though it might be low-hanging fruit, fart and poop jokes are still fucking hilarious to me. So fuck you and unsubscribe if you disagree. Anyways, Mr. Sharter likes to claim a lot of really amazing things about himself and the life he has led, while giving no evidence for any of it, but that's to be expected from these types. Once you've seen one retard, you have seen them all. So let's do a quick rundown of some of his claims, shall we? Let's see, he claims that he was born into a satanic family. He claims that his father used to kidnap and ritually rape, kill, and eat children. He claims that he himself had even been forced by his father and stepmother to commit murder at the age of 10. And he also claims that in 1979 his family had ordered him to throw a lit match onto a man doused in gasoline. And this is all just the start of it, not even scratching the surface yet. As you will see, Mr. Sharter has been making these claims about himself for almost a decade, and of course as time carries on, his stories grow legs and become even more crazier with his embellishments.
My name is David Shurter, and I am looking for any information on a man who disappeared in the late summer or the fall of '79. He was around 5'8" to 6 foot, blondish brown hair, good looking and outgoing, and most importantly, he was obsessed with finding his dark-haired little girl, who I believe was actually his little girl. The man came to the duplex behind me in 1979 where my family lived, looking for his little girl, not knowing that my family was involved with her disappearance. His iced tea was drugged by my stepmother, Joanne Shurter, and later, in the presence of my father, Robert Lynn Shurter Jr., my stepmother, Joanne Shurter, older brother Stephen, and older sister Cynthia Hester, my father doused the man with the flammable liquid, and I was forced to throw a match on him, thus lighting him on fire. I had repressed this until a year ago last November, when I remembered this event in a dream. I called the Center for Missing and Exploited Children, believing if I could find the little girl, I might find the guy who came in search of her.
Later in his career as a satanic cult victim, he went on to claim that his father was the leader of the entirety of the satanic underground in America, and that Sharter himself is in fact the rightful heir to the satanic throne. Sharter also claims to have been trained by the Illuminati in some fucked up MK Ultra style program from birth to be the Antichrist, and also claims that Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino, friend of Bush Sr. and founder of the Temple of Set, had personally trained him in the dark arts, like he's some kind of satanic baby rapist version of Harry Potter or something. By the way, I found some of his family members, and the only one of Sharter's family that will corroborate this story is one of his sisters, but I'm holding these cards to my chest, at least for this video, so stick around folks, it's gonna get fun up in here. For whatever reason, Sharter is not the Antichrist, but he still retains all of his magical Illuminati powers. For instance, on Christmas Day, Sharter claimed on his blog that he magically replaced Donald Trump's penis with a vagina. That's right, folks, a magical satanic sex change, performed by none other than David Sharter himself, has caused the first penis to disappear and to be replaced with a vagina. Fret not, SJW Hillary supporter, you now have your first lady in office, and it's a trans one at that. Aren't you proud? But that's not all. He also casted a hungering spell on Paul Ryan, making it to where he will no longer gain sustenance from food or drink, and he will starve himself to death, no matter how much he eats. So let's all keep a close eye on Ryan's health in the coming days and see if Sharter's spell is working. I got a feeling that Mr. Sharter is going to come up with some kind of magical bullshit reason why Paul Ryan isn't dead yet of starvation, but time will tell. You don't have a lot of time though, Mr. Sharter. Just letting you know. Your magic better hurry up. Starvation has a small window of time to happen in. Basically, the picture that Mr. Shurter wants to illustrate here is that he is created to be the Illuminati's top weapon, created to be their god on Earth, but now he's completely gone rogue and is using his training and magical powers against them. His claims are actually a lot more absurd sounding than I'm making them out to be, and tend to be overly detailed, like some kind of bullshit Da Vinci Code stuff Dan Brown would have wrote if he had acquired brain damage from autoerotic asphyxiation or something. Speaking of shitty writing, Sharter's main claim to fame is that he wrote a book titled Rabbit Hole, a satanic ritual abuse survivor's story, which is filled with all of this trite shit and more. Nice job, David, stealing the title of my fucking series here for your book, you piece of shit. This propelled him to a certain level in the quote-unquote survivor community, but after a while, even they couldn't stand this motherfucker anymore. Deanna Spingola of FreeRangeHumans.net accounts her interactions with him in this article called David Shurter, Why You Might Question His Story, which is actually quite worth reading. I'd like to read a little bit of that here actually for our amusement, if you don't mind. I supported David in many ways over several years. I formatted drafts of his book. I enhanced his photo for a magazine article. I interviewed him to get his story out. David appreciated my interviewing so much he asked me to coordinate a visit with a cameraman to interview him again for a documentary film. I spent several $100s on gas money to oblige him. When I arrived, I discovered that David had not even bothered to mention me to the cameraman, who expected to do his own interviewing and filming as a solo project. Naturally, he resented my presence. Both the cameraman and I recorded our conversations. I did it lawfully and openly, only recording conversations I was a party to, for the purpose of taking notes, for my own protection, and because, well, I was there to document. David acquired a bag of weed, and over the next few days he smoked incessantly until it was gone. I believe that it was at the beginning of this smoking binge that David left me behind so he and the cameraman could do his solo interview, now posted on David's YouTube channel. You can see how lethargic David is from being so toasty. Later on in this article, she details how Sharter kicks her out of his house for recording conversations, which is kind of what one does when they are interviewing someone, but in any event, that's how their relationship ended. In my professional 420 opinion, I don't believe it was actual weed he was smoking, but rather synthetic weed. The reason why I think that is because he has an empty pouch of it attached to his corkboard behind him in some of his videos, as though he is proud of smoking research chemicals or something. 9 out of 10 times I think the active chemical in this legal high shit is JWH-018 or some kind of variant, which is absolutely not proven to be safe to consume by human beings. It might have caused long-term adverse effects on his brain over the years that he spent consuming it. How do I know this? I used to fucking smoke it myself, but that's a video confessional for another day. Bottom line is this, David, if you're watching, it's impossible to take you seriously and very easy to tell if you're lying. Unfortunately for you, you spent the better part of a decade building this persona for yourself, and just when you think you're about to put the cherry on top, motherfuckers like us, the Psychic Vampires Podcast, come along, and we shove that cherry up your ass, and then we fuck you like there's no tomorrow. Your main problem is the Dunning-Kruger effect here. You think that everybody's just going to be as stupid as you are. Therefore, we're all going to believe your nonsense. And I'm sorry to break it to you, but no, that is not happening. It won't happen. You're a fucking moron to think otherwise. I think you're taking this LARPing stuff to the extreme. And just because you look like an innkeeper from some kind of steampunk RPG, it doesn't mean people are going to actually take you seriously and believe a word you say. With that said, guys, I think you can actually expect plenty more to come from this guy and from us about this guy and other people like him. So stick around and watch the fun unfold in the year 2017.
you for watching another Jewish Goldstein production.